Okay, now for the bad. Ride the Rockies. Wolf Creek Pass, we had one gentleman average 11.3 miles an hour up the pass, and we heard stories of 60, 64 miles an hour going down the pass. And one year we had a bunch of carbon fiber bicycles, the forks had broken, and people were going down there doing face plants, getting seriously injured. Also, too, the Colorado Potato Board had baked potatoes for the cyclists at the top of Wolf Creek Pass with all the fixings free of charge. And we're talking big, huge baked potatoes, 2,500 of them plus. Man, they were good. There's nothing like a baked potato or bratwurst on the summit of a pass. It's just unbelievable, the flavor plus the view. But I'm going to talk about the bad side, the accidents. Don't get me wrong, we had some serious accidents every year. We had a gentleman lose control on a curve on a state bridge and slid underneath the vehicle. Another young man was, we don't know what happened, tire popped, but he popped out of the line he was in and got hit from the back by a Mack dump truck. He didn't make it. There's several other deaths on the ride too. The one I'm going to talk about now involves me personally. We were coming into Salida from Alamosa, and I'd gotten off the route and was going into town, going to the motel. And I got to the Sonic on Highway 50 and right across from Walmart, and I noticed that there was an accident involving some cyclists. I wasn't sure it was any of ours, but I pulled up ahead of it, hopped out. I called the tour director and told her what was going on. Hopped out, grabbed my first aid kit, I'm running up. And just as I'm about 15, 20 feet away, I see the police officer covering her head up. She's dead. I go up to the police officer and, I'm like in shock. Is she really dead? Yes, she's passed. Well, now that becomes a crime scene, and he asked me to help him clear the crime scene. Well, she had like 3 or 4 members of her family riding with her, and one of them was still holding her hand, and I grabbed her and pulled her back away from the body. She was screaming. And as I pulled her back, I did that like 3 or 4 times, and each time I went back with the person to get him back from the scene, all I could see was these bystanders standing around staring at me. They were in horror too. I was in override. I just was going on pure instinct. And after we got the crime scene secured, I realized that I was standing in where there was some gray matter. She got tangled up with a motorhome and went underneath the rear tire, got her head smashed. So I go back to my radio and I call the tour director, and unfortunately it went out over the entire tour radio circuit. He said, go ahead and roll an ambulance, and I said, it's a little late for that. And he said, I'd be right there, which he was. I left, but he called me back. I needed to pick up the relatives, their bicycles, and them, and take them to their motel, drop them off, just to make sure that they're doing good. Well, as I'm up on the top of my vehicle waiting for the bicycles, the owner of the Sonic comes out and just tears one of the other female staff members up, vocally, just right to her face, man. And he's coming towards me. And I was ready to jump down and engage with him, but the police got there before he got to me, or it could have been a real ugly scene. From what I understand, he was told to go back to his restaurant and stay there, which he didn't. And later on that night, he got a visit from the local Colorado trooper captain, the sheriff, and the local police chief coming to your home. That's something. really traumatizing. I relive that day sometimes daily. Those last 4 steps running up on the body, and I'll never forget the horror on the face of the people who were standing around, or the first lady I grabbed, who was still holding her aunt's hand and was screaming, and I actually literally had to drag her back. I probably touched her inappropriately, but we needed to clear the crime scene. I get back to my room, and thank God my roommate, man, he was from heaven, man. I walk in, he's not there, but there's 2 ice cold long neck Pabst Blue Ribbon in the ice bucket, and a couple of synthetic volumes over there to help calm me down. Which I took one of them, drank a beer, went to our nightly meeting, and can't explain what I was feeling, and what the other people who didn't even know what was going on or was there, there's no way I could explain to them what the horror that I went through. And then even worse than that, the next morning, part of my job was I was on the baggage crew, and I stood at the bottom of the ramp as these people were coming out of the baggage truck, and I had to shake their hand and smile. Tough to do, very tough to do. But like I said, we had minor injuries daily, and we had major injuries. I believe that one of my cousins was involved when he was out throwing tacks along the highway for cyclists to get flat tires. Well, this one gentleman went down and fractured his skull.